to make the biggest difference you've seen in South Waikato in a decade. I'm a Tirau resident, but your mayor must be neutral. The important thing in the chambers is that all the voices are heard, and Tirau has only one voice there. So I want to turn that around a little. I'm going to bring meetings out into the community so that your voices are heard. The good thing about Tirau is that you have your community board. So when we hold these creative meetings ahead of submissions, you'll be able to come in and put your ideas forward, and the Tirau community board will be able to finalise them and put them through submissions and council. The other two towns don't have that advantage. I don't think your voice has been heard enough, so I would like to encourage the councillors, as a leader, I'll be asking them to come down and spend some time in your community boards, and vice versa. I would want your councillor to go up and spend some time in the other two communities, so they understand when they're debating in their chamber that they're talking about real people and making decisions for real people. The other good thing about those meetings is that your youth can come, anyone can come. We can even have those meetings at schools. What we don't understand at our age is that the world is not going to be anything like what you and I are seeing now for our next generation, our young generation. We don't even know what it's going to look like. So it's really important that we start getting them involved in our planning. So some of these creative meetings might be about what does 30 and 50 years look like, so that we get an idea of what those youth are thinking now, so that we can start planning and pulling what they need into the 10-year plan. I don't think Tirau should be thinking about getting smaller. It won't, because you're on the end of the motorway and you will get an influx of people. So will Tirau and probably Tukaroa as well. So I want you to think big about those 30 years. I want you to think of a bigger swimming pool with a cover over it and a hot pool for your elderly folk. And I think Tirau should probably be thinking of the same because of this demographic time bomb. I'm going to get council to think, I'm going to introduce a rule called the 880 rule for the council staff and councillors, so that every decision they make, they think whether it applies to an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old. When they're walking down the street, is the pavement suitable for an 80-year-old or an 8-year-old? They need to start thinking this way, so they start thinking about real people. I roll with my heart. I want to do this for you. I want you to stand on my 30 years of economic development and business development and use that to move yourselves forward. With Tracy Dean as your leader, I have a head for business and a heart for you, and I want to make this place the best place you've had for the last decade. Thank you.
Jared Gallagher.
Tēnā koutou katoa ka hui mai nei, ko ki tōku ngā koe tēnei wā, ki ngā honga mate, ko mate, haere ki te pō, ki te honga ora tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora everyone, my name is Jared Gallagher. I'm the outsider here today. And somewhat, I came initially to sort of come with fire and brimstone a little bit, some flashing lights, but I feel a little bit humbled to stand in the midst of some ancestors that we may have passed on. As myself, my ancestors have died in the war, so I feel a little bit humbled, so I want to just acknowledge them today. Let me tell you about myself. I'm a ratepayer, and I invested all my money in Tukaroa. I live outside, but I invested there about 2 or 3 years ago in property, in residential property. And so, although I don't pay as much rate as the farmers, bless their hearts, I do pay the rates. And I invested there because I thought, I want to try something. I want to see if there's actually opportunities there. I want to see what this place is like. Well, 2 or 3 years later, I've now finished the first house, ready to sell to a local Tukaroa person, and I believe that there are opportunities there. And I believe that there is an opportunity to take forward. So I wanted to put my name in the hat. I want to make sure this happens. My vision is to create and to rejuvenate. I think there's opportunities where rejuvenation for me is taking something that we already have, maybe make it better. And then we have great opportunities for people to come in. I've lived a number of years overseas. I lived 16 years in Asia. I speak only a bit of Chinese, But what I just experimented on was I decided to bring a group of Chinese people here to live here for a couple of weeks, spend their money here to see if it actually works. And I'm happy to say it does work. We are the centre of the universe here. We do offer things that no one else can offer. I will now come to Tirau. Tirau. You know, I think that you have a responsibility. I heard the word gateway. When I drive from Hamilton, this welcomes me. So I think the responsibility is with you to tell us what you want, what you need, that you can have the big mantle of being the gateway to the South Waikato. I hope that you can feel comfortable with me. My name is Jared Gallagher. I am the outsider but new. I bring fresh eyes. And I hope that the mayor that you vote in, whoever it is inspiring. I hope it doesn't come with a stick or a carrot. I hope it inspires people to be great. Thank you very much.
Jenny Shattuck.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Shattuck and I'm standing for the mayoralty of the South Waikato. I'm currently your Deputy Mayor and I have been for the past 9 years. I want to be your Mayor because I believe we need experienced leadership to lead a council that works with the people and for the people. As Deputy, I've filled in for the Mayor on numerous occasions. I've worked within the community, with the Chief Executive and with other mayors and with Local Government New Zealand. I can pull a team together and get the best out of them. I can lead a council with a refreshed team, at least 4 new faces around the council table, and with new people, they need experience and leadership to show them the ropes. I already understand council business and the way it's run, so I can hit the ground running. I have been asked, will there be change? And I can assure you there will be change. I have learnt well, firstly under Gordon Blake and then under Neil Sinclair, but I have a different style than them. My vision for our community is more jobs, better unity across the district, more community input and good control of where and how our rates are spent. We have the platform to deliver on. We've got house values rising, up 13.5%. GDP growth is 3%, and we rank 13th in New Zealand for growth as a district. We need to capitalise on this momentum. We now need to start knocking on doors and selling ourselves. I'm well aware that some people in Tirau think the council being based in Tokoroa doesn't care much for Tirau. I've attended most of the community board meetings in my time as Deputy Mayor, and I am aware of that feeling, and I want to fix it. Unity across the district is important, and I will work towards a more cohesive district, but our towns are unique and we need to recognise and celebrate those differences. Tirau, you have your traffic management plan, your potential domain plan and your walkway to implement, and to support this, I will advocate for a higher level of maintenance in the streets of the town. Water and land use are big issues. The Tirau pools and the Batari Tirau pools, uneconomic, but they are now being subsidised across the district. They won't close on my watch. Dog bylaws will be reviewed. I want certainty for the information centre in Tirau. We're looking at a long-term lease. As your Mayor, I want to lead a cohesive team that will encourage and work with businesses and people to find solutions, that understands its role as governance and is focused on not just today but tomorrow as well. Because we live in a beautiful district and it's filled with wonderful people. It deserves a council that's led by people who are passionate about seeing our district thrive on all the opportunities that are presented to us. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the floor?
Can I ask a question? I would like a question to ask all the mayoral candidates. Are you going to promise that to the Tirau people that there will be no more services cut while you are the mayor?
There may well be an actual disaster, Peter.
There might be, but I mean, excluding natural disasters. And don't gobbledygook.
I'll get up here and categorically say, no, I'm not able to make that promise. Because I'm unable to foresee the future. Who knows what's going to change? Yeah, I'm unable to make that promise. What I will do, say, is that I'll explore options to make sure that the services that are here are kept. And also, something you raised is about, is there an option for disposal of green waste? We'll explore an option for green waste to be disposed of here in Tirau.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. No, I can't make any promises like that either. As the community board said, well, I am only one vote around the council table, but what I can say is I will be advocating for increased services to Tirau, and I'm talking about maintenance of the streets, but we're also looking at increased services with the new entranceway, with the walkway, with the potential development plan, and the green spaces and the new toilet at the top of the hill. So I'm certainly advocating for more services.
I promise, Peter. Can I say that? Yes. I tell you what I will promise, is that I'm going to speak for everybody in our South Waikato district. I'm going to try and keep that, you know? I look forward to your vote, Peter. Thank you.
Here's what I want to do. I want you to use your community board fully, and that means that when you're asked to come to a meeting and put your ideas in, I want big ideas. And they might be something that you can't see for maybe 20 years, but put it in anyway, because then it's in the plan and it can be brought down to the next year or 2 years' time or whatever. You decide what's a priority, and then your councillor will take it to, whoever your councillor is, take it to council, and then they'll debate it. And I can't imagine you getting any less than what you've got. I actually think you need something, not a library, but your community space back, an interior community space back. So I don't actually see you diminish. I don't think you can have any less than what you've got, frankly.
Yeah.
You just about lost your swimming pool, and we need a swimming pool. So, you know, I say get into those meetings if we call them. I'd like to call them or lead them myself, but the community board will do it. Put all your ideas in, because if you stick them all in, there's a better chance you get something out of them.
I mean, the only thing we can lose here now is the swimming pool, and then, you know, the next thing we can lose is the sewerage. I mean, that's...
Can I actually ask a question back, Peter? What services, please? Yes, the green waste.
Green waste.
What other services have you lost?
The library, green waste, whiteware collection, the hardware collection, you know,
Organic waste. That's actually not a regular service. That's a special.
Well, we've lost it.
One-off.
The council pulled the pin on the lines, yes.
On the lines.
On the line. We used to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, on a Saturday, I don't know, you know.
The council hasn't done it on a regular basis. That's
I don't know, it was once a year. It was in the early 2000s. We've lost it.
Immunity, I'm sorry, okay, I'm not sure about that one, then I can't answer that, okay. But as far as, you haven't lost your library. You still have a library service.
We still have a library service.
You still have a library service.
Have you gone on the 20th of December to go and order a book? They would have told you that, sorry, but because it's closed, they come back on the 5th of January. Is that a library service? I don't know what it is.
Thank you, Peter. Oh, okay.
Gordon, I'd like to ask each of you two questions. Firstly, your views and your intentions about retaining to our ward and direct council representation on the South Waikato District Council. Secondly, your support for the Tirau Community Board and the ongoing retention of the Community Board.
I'll answer that because I submitted on it being a Tirau resident when the last, that was called for last year. I love your community board. The problem in the other two towns is they don't have a voice that loud. Tarau's got one called Pride of Tarau, and that's great. It's not elected, but it's wonderful that they have it. Toke has nothing. So I want to keep that because the more voice you have down at this level, see, council's meant to be driven by you. They're not meant to have these great ideas and then say, this is how it is, choose between these three. It's meant to be you feeding information in and then them voting across the district to see what are the priorities and making sure everybody gets whatever of the funding. And if that means when we're all tight for cash, we only get the very basic of what we can get, that's great. But if there's a little bit left in the coffers, then we all get a little bit of extra something, just like at home. So yes, I think it's very important. I wanted the wards kept separately. I wanted you to have your community board, quite like better representation at this level for the other two towns. Now, if I step back and say as a mayor, whatever you choose, so me as a Tirau resident, that's what I want, but for a mayor, it's about you deciding. So say that question came up, and you were called to a meeting to think about your representation and how you wanted to do that, whatever you want is what you should have, and of course I'd be coming and having that vote with you. So it's whatever you want from the mayor's point of view, and from my personal point of view, the closer your representation is to you, the better. Thank you.
The Tirau had a community board when we first split up. Tirau had a couple of boards, I don't believe they were called community boards, but they all dissolved, they all disappeared, and the council supported the disappearance. Tirau is different, it doesn't support the disappearance like that.
Last night, when I talked a little bit about democracy, I'm not going to, you know these things, you know, we're here with 100 people, you vote for one of us to come in, and then it's all us, you know, and all your power's taken away. So I'm really into the fact that you've got another layer, if you will, of a voice that you can go to, because minority democracy can really ruin us, you know, because I'm voting on your behalf, am I? So I demand that you keep that ward, okay? And I demand, because you're the gateway to South Waikato. I want you, and I think it's your responsibility to tell us what to do.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with retaining the community board and the separate representation. Next representation review will not take place during this 3-year term, so it's every 5 years. If I happen to be mayor in 4 years' time, I'd advocate for retaining the community board and separate representation. I think one of the things that there may be some learnings in that Thames Coromandel, which is a more disparate, widespread district than what this one is, a lot of powers and authorities were devolved from council to the community boards, which were set up in the start of Ben Leach's term 6 years ago. So I just wonder if there are some learnings from there that could be brought into not only this community here, but also to other communities about devolving some authority and power from the council. But most certainly, separate representation from the Tirau ward, and definitely keep the Tirau community board. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before I go, I'll just put the library thing, Peter. If it's not working, it needs to be fixed, and certainly it's something that we will look at to the future. All right? I promise you that. I promise you that it will certainly be looked at. As far as local democracy is concerned, I certainly support separate representation and a community board, definitely. When we went out last couple of years ago for the representation review, what we put out were options. We put out several options. What you heard was what we were going to do, and that wasn't what we were going to do. It was an option, and we had to do it. We had to actually look at, under the Local Government Commission requirements, we had to look at our expenditure and our representation and our governance structure. We did that. In the South Waikato, we have 23,000 people. We have 10 councillors and 1 mayor. In Hamilton, there's 150,000 people. They have 1 mayor and 12 councillors. So we had to look at options, and that was just an option. Unfortunately, it came out as it was the option, and that wasn't actually what it was. But what it did was, it generated an awful lot of discussion. Council listened to the discussion, and democracy took over. You wanted separate ward and a community board, and that's what happened. Thank you.
We lost our library, which we could have lost the swimming pool if we hadn't fought for it.
You won't lose your swimming pool, absolutely not. You were never, Mr. Wood, you were never going to lose the swimming pool. We thought about involving the school a lot more with the swimming pool, and so it was always going to be a public swimming pool. Thank you.
I would like to know from other mayoral candidates about the allocation of the rights. So for me, it seems that the rights are not properly allocated. Say in Tirau, the services are cut, but then on the other hand, the way down to the Leslie Road, Blue Springs, the road is widened and then the sign is taken away, so that's not used anymore for anything. So I really want to know how you put measures in place that the rights are allocated to the right services or whatever.
One of the things that I've heard one of my fellow candidates has talked about, she never talked about it here this evening, was about a review of the rates in the South Waikato. Now, one of the things is, if I am mayor and there was a review of the rates of the South Waikato, I'd always advocate for harmonisation of the three waters, so drinking water, stormwater and wastewater. Because if there wasn't harmonisation, the urban people of Tirau, those who are on those services, would be paying about $750 a year in rates more than what's being paid now. Now, furthermore, if I'm not the mayor and somebody was to advocate this rate review, I'll make a submission in saying that harmonisation across the urban communities in this district needs to continue. One of the things about the allocation of spending is to make sure that there are robust asset management plans in place, so that's for the core services. And then the other thing is about the allocation of rates income, council rates income, is to respond to community submissions. And it goes back to this community, through the community board and representation from the councillor who's elected for this ward.
Yeah, but I want to know how you make sure that the money is allocated to the right things instead of like what I noticed that long-term planning is spending the money on long-term solutions, but regarding, say, Blue Springs, the money, what I think is not long-term because there are several decisions made and now they are all kind of reverted. The steps down to the water, now they close off the swimming. Then the road widened, then they take the signs away. That's what I would like to know because I don't think that the money is allocated right.
I think that any time, often in society there are scenarios that don't pan out as fundamentally predicted. I think it's fair to say that nobody would have predicted there were 6,000 and 7,000 people going to use the Waiho walkway, and the vast majority walking in from the Leslie Road end. I think it's fair to say that is unpredictable. There will be some unpredictable things happening. One of the things that I particularly dislike is waste through rework. I would hope that the decision making that takes place minimises that rework.
Yes, there was a question, I'm trying to develop about 9 properties in Tokoroa, and when you're paying rates, you're thinking, where the heck does this rates go to? And as a new boy into these, I'm grateful for the council, where they give out and they tell you where it sort of goes to, the breakdown, and so I'm still like yourself wondering, am I carrying too much weight on my shoulders, or should I be a bit more benevolent? I'm unsure. I think that's a big major question that as mayor we should investigate. So I met the CEO tonight. He's going to become my best friend if I get elected, and I look forward to annoying him even more. But I think that's a question I think that we all ask ourselves, what on earth are our rates going to? So I thank you for that, and I hope that we can continue to work together. I might be able to justify what happens to those rates.
I've got a question. Is this still going? Or?
Yeah, I think it's still on.
Oh, yeah.
I've made a list of promises on the front of my leaflet, and one of them is the rates review that Alan was mentioning. it's not just a rates review, it's looking at the entire system and making sure it makes fair sense across the board. But it's also looking at all the different ways that are possible to take rates and making sure that ours is as fair as it can be. And in addition to that, that working group will look at other ways to raise funding, because there's ways you can create income that can relieve rates, much like what Gordon Blake managed to do in his term, which is where we now have the SWIFT fund. So they managed to make some money, which meant that your rates were relieved. So I've got a working group promised for that, and we'll look at all of that just to make sure it sits right, and you'll be reported on for that.
Thank you for that question. The rates allocation, how it works, we have asset management plans, as Alan spoke about. So all our infrastructure and our assets